Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be transforming the all-new ROG Phone 8 Pro into a desktop PC that'll allow you to work and game. You could basically turn this into a console if you wanted to, and since this new device is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, we've got plenty of power for gaming and emulation on this thing. So yeah, this is the new ROG Phone 8 Pro. I've done one video on it. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description. We saw some amazing performance out of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and this is the higher-end Pro model with 1TB of storage and 24 gigs of RAM, which is insane for an Android device. It's been able to handle everything that I've thrown at it, from native Android games like Genshin Impact, PUBG, and emulation like GameCube, Wii, Switch, 3DS, and PS2 emulation. But today, we're not going to be using the built-in screen. We actually want to connect this to a larger display, and it's pretty simple to do. There's actually two modes that we can go with. We can go with mirror mode or desktop mode. The ROG Phone 8 actually has two USB Type-C ports. We've got one here on the bottom, and we've also got one on the side. Now, in order to get video out, we need to use the one over here on the side. This is the only one that supports display out or alt mode, but it's really easy to connect it to a larger display. And once you connect it, you're going to be in mirror mode until you mess around with a few settings. And I'll show you exactly what I've done here to get into desktop mode. But first things first, you will need an adapter. Now, if your monitor already supports USB Type-C video in, then you're good to go. You can plug the phone directly in, or you can pick up a cheap adapter like the one I have here. USB Type-C on one end, HDMI on the other, and right in the middle there, we've also got some extra USB ports, micro SD, and full-size SD card slots. There's several of these on the market. I'll leave a few links in the description. Another thing I would suggest is some type of stand for your device. I've got this old Switch stand here. I think they're like $5 on Amazon. This is what I'm going to be using. Nothing fancy, very inexpensive. And, if you're in desktop mode, having a keyboard and mouse would be nice, along with the controller so you can play your games without having to use the touch screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the first mode. I've got my USB Type-C to HDMI adapter. I've also got this little plastic dock here. You can pick them up for about $5 on Amazon just to hold this thing up. Go ahead and get the ROG Phone 8 situated. Plug into the side USB Type-C port. Give it a second or two, and you will get video out of that USB Type-C port. I've also got a mouse and keyboard plugged into the adapter that I have plugged into the phone. Now, this is great. We've got a bigger screen here. Definitely gives us more to work with. But unfortunately, we're just basically in mirror mode. We don't get that full screen experience. Now, this can definitely be fixed. In order to do this, you will have to enable developer settings. But I'll just go ahead and show you real quick. We've got that black bar on the top and bottom because the phone's built-in screen is a different aspect ratio than our monitor. Most monitors out there are going to be 16:9, and it's going to give us those bars. Now it's fully playable like this. You can go ahead and connect your favorite controller. I'm just using an Xbox controller connected over Bluetooth. We've got a much bigger screen to work with. And this will do 1080p right now at 120. I've been able to take this up to 1440p, but my monitor here is only 1080. And it looks really great like this. But of course, a lot of people aren't going to want those black bars on the top and bottom, and there's actually a really easy way to fix this. We will need to enable a few settings, and I would recommend installing one application just to make it a little easier to navigate. Okay, first things first, let's go ahead and download Taskbar. You can pick this up on Google Play. It's free to use, works out really well in desktop mode. And this is going to come in really handy for launching different apps in desktop mode because ASUS doesn't officially support desktop mode. Really wish they had something like Dex built in, but unfortunately they don't yet. Next, we need to enable developer options. So from our settings, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom, choose System. Next, we'll tap on About Phone. We're going to go to System Information and tap on the build number 3 or 4 times. This is going to enable developer mode. Now we can back up once, we're still in System, and you'll see we have developer options enabled. From here, we're going to scroll near the bottom and turn on Force Desktop Mode. So we're going to turn this on. Enable Freeform Windows. You will have to reboot. I'm just going to reboot later. Force activities to be resizable. And we're also going to turn on Enable Non-Resizable in Multi-Window. So now we've got these 4 options turned on. Remember, you will have to do a reboot. But now we're ready for desktop mode on the ROG Phone 8 Pro. And as soon as we have those settings enabled, we can go ahead and plug our phone back in. Same exact setup here. Still have that keyboard and mouse plugged in, and now you can see we've got kind of a desktop interface because we've enabled desktop mode from the developer settings. We've also installed the taskbar, so we can actually have a nice little taskbar here to launch all of our applications. And since we've got freeform windows on, we can actually have multiple apps on screen at any given time. We can also resize those apps. Now, I will admit there are a few apps that just can't be resized no matter what settings we use. One that has always given me issues is Minecraft. But with most of the stuff that I personally like to use on a regular basis, I've had no trouble with resizing on the ROG Phone 8. As you can see, we've got Google Play. We'll go ahead and launch Chrome right beside it, and we'll do PPSSPP. Some of these apps will launch in full screen mode, but you can easily bring them back down to size. And now we've got multiple apps on the screen. All of them are resizable. You can bring up an on-screen keyboard, but since I've got a keyboard and mouse plugged in, I really don't need that feature. It can be disabled, but I've just left it on here. You definitely need to check out the taskbar settings because there's quite a lot that you can do with it. You can rearrange it, you can have it set up on the side or the top if you want to. I've just got it kind of set up like a desktop PC. And now we can get into a little bit of gaming. We'll go full screen with it. Here's torque drift, and one thing I've noticed is I can't get sound out of the external speakers that I have connected. I've got these plugged into the monitors, so all of my sound should be going out of HDMI right now. If I swap the output source to the phone itself, I can get sound, but this is one game that I ran into issues with. I'm not exactly sure how to fix this, but everything else I tested actually worked out really well. Next up, we've got Call of Duty Mobile. This is one of those games for Android that does natively support controllers and works really well on a larger display. Very high frame rate, very high settings, and since we're working with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it's not going to be a problem to run this up to 120 Hz. Now, even though I can get 120 out of the USB Type-C port on the side of the ROG Phone 8 Pro, it looks like this might be running at 60. If you play this on the built-in screen, you can definitely go up to 120, but it's kind of weird the way this is set up right now. Not bad, I mean, it definitely works. I also wanted to test a little bit of cloud gaming, and performance is really going to depend on your network connection. We're using Wi-Fi right now to my Wi-Fi 6 router. Got Mortal Kombat 11 running here through Xbox Game Pass or xCloud, whatever they're calling it now. I've never really had a great picture when it comes to Xbox Game Pass or cloud gaming using an external monitor on any device. So I guess we're kind of stuck at that resolution right there. But when it comes to emulation, we've got everything covered here. This will do Dreamcast, PSP, it'll do 3DS, it'll do PS2, GameCube, Wii, and even Switch emulation with that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. This is the standalone version of PPSSPP, Ghost of Sparta 5x resolution with the Vulkan backend. No problem to run this at 60 FPS on this device, even on a larger display. And finally, we've got some GameCube emulation. F-Zero GX using the standalone Dolphin emulator. We're at 720p with this game. When it comes to GameCube and Wii emulation on these Snapdragon chips, OpenGL is definitely the way to go. Some games may benefit from using Vulkan, but for the most part, OpenGL works great. As you saw from this video, the ROG Phone 8 Pro does support display out over that USB Type-C port and only work over the side port they have here. You can go in desktop mode by enabling it in developer settings, or you could just go with mirror mode. You're still going to get a much larger display area, and personally, some of the apps actually look better in mirror mode than they did in desktop mode. So in the end, it's really up to you. But this is a question I got quite a bit about the ROG Phone 8 Pro, and I figured I'd go ahead and make a quick video on it. If you're interested in seeing what this thing can do all by itself, I've got a full video. Leave a link for that down below. If you've got any questions or you want to see anything else running on this device, let me know. And like always, thanks for watching.